suddenly I like to leave your island.
It is not possible.
Bullshit, Mr. Handman.
Enter the Dragon opens up, and we are viewed with a battle tournament taking place between Lee and his opponent. The tournament ends with Lee coming out victorious. After the battle, Lee goes to meet with his teacher. The teacher tells him about a student named Han, who has turned evil and brought disgrace to the temple. Teacher tells Lee that he must defend the temple's honor. Lee then goes to a meeting with the man, who invites him to a tournament of martial arts hosted by Han. Lee doesn't answer and excuses himself from the table. We then cut to the next scene at the airport, and we are introduced to Williams. We cut back to Lee being shown videos of Han and his bodyguard, Ahara. We also find out that Han selects attractive girls to drug them and then sells them all around the world. Lee is then given a picture of a woman named Mei Ling that teacher sent over to investigate Han, who has since been lost. We then cut to Lee and teacher. Teacher begins to tell a story involving Han and his crew. He says that they were arrogant and bullies. He describes a situation in which Han and his gang killed Lee's sister. Lee becomes very emotional after hearing that Han and his crew killed his sister. Rightfully so. Lee is now at his sister's graveyard and asks her for forgiveness for the revenge that he is about to seek. And I don't want to speak for anyone, but I'm sure she'll understand. We are then introduced to Roper, who is playing golf. In the middle of the game, he is bombarded by a gang looking for money. They try to attack him, but he has some skills of his own. We then cut to a boat in which Williams, Roper, and Lee are all on, and they're all heading to Han's tournament. They make it to the island, and we are viewed with all of the students training. They even go to a party, and at the party, Lee spots Mei Ling. Later that night, Williams, Roper, and Lee are all asked to pick any woman of their choice, and Lee picks Mei Ling. When she goes to his room, he asks her if she's seen anything. She says that she is kept in the palace and knows nothing of Han's activities outside of the palace. She does say that she notices that the girls disappear once they leave Han's place. We cut to the next day, and everyone is in attendance for the tournament. It begins with Williams, who does really well. Followed by Roper, who comes up with a plan with Williams to pretend to lose the tournament in the beginning, but come back and win in the end in order to get more money for gambling on the fight. It's now later that night, and Lee goes to sneak into Han's underground lair, but is caught by some of his crew. Lee manages to escape, and we then cut to the next day, and Han is furious because his crew allowed for someone to intrude his palace. So he puts them through a tournament of their own, and it doesn't go well for them. Lee then gets called up to participate in his tournament against Han's bodyguard, Ahara. After Lee defeats O'Hara, O'Hara tries to fight dirty, and it costs him his life.
O'Hara!
After Lee kills O'Hara, Han leaves and calls Williams to his office. He accuses him of being the one who broke into his office last night, but William denies it and requests to leave the island. But Han refuses to let him leave and calls his guards in. After Han finishes with Williams, he meets up with Roper and asks him to join him. They go down to his power plant and Roper starts to get a little bit suspicious of him. And his suspicions get answered once Han shows him Williams hanging and being dropped in some water. We then cut to Lee sneaking into the power plant and sets off the alarm, triggering Han's security to come out. Lee is then trapped in Han's cave, and we cut to the next morning, and Roper goes to the tournament field and sees Lee. Han says that Roper has to fight Lee, but Roper refuses, so Han requests that Roper fights the insanely buff Bolo. While they are fighting, we cut to Mei Ling freeing the captured people in Han's lair. We cut back to the fight with Roper and Bolo, and after Roper defeats Bolo, Han calls in all of his students to fight Lee and Roper. Luckily for them, the captured students come out and they have a free-for-all brawl. While they're fighting, Han goes and replaces his fake hand with a claw and begins to fight Lee. During the fight, the claw hand comes off and Han rushes inside to get a new metal claw and continues to fight with Lee. After Lee kills Han, he leaves out and we see the aftermath of what Roper and the students did. The movie ends with Lee and Roper saluting each other on a job well done. Enter the Dragon was so action-packed. After I watched Fist of Fury a couple weeks ago, I was like, I really need to get into more martial arts films. The fighting choreography is top-notch, and it introduces me to a different demographic of storytelling. I'm about to head out, but before I do, I want to give out an award. This award is for best fight scene, and this award is going to go to Lee versus O'Hara.
O'Hara!
This scene is great because Lee was able to get his revenge, and I'm always here for revenge. That's my recap of Enter the Dragon. If you made it to the end, I would really appreciate it if you gave me a like and subscribe, and until next time, peace.